Hard refresh.
Well, I can start it off, except I have no idea what we're talking about today.
This
So
is
why don't
episode 4 of Hard Refresh. We're talking more about Aria attributes, and today we're going into Aria Live and its related attributes.
Aria Live?
Yes.
You have me intrigued. You had me at Aria. All right. So first off, what are you drinking, Nick?
I'm drinking a lemon shandy. This is from Goose Island Beer Company. And this is the 312 lemon shandy. I guess maybe that's an area code.
All right. I'm going to my old standby. So it's just Guinness for me today. So
all right, good. Cheers. So yeah, today we're talking about Aria Live.
All right. So tell me about it.
So just to recap, we're using these Aria attributes to kind of help bridge the gap from static HTML, which is probably, how things used to be 10 years ago, and now entering this world of basically websites becoming more like applications, right? So things are happening dynamically on the site.
Right.
And when we, let's say, add new text to the page, right, dynamically, screen readers don't always know about it. So there's a technique to get assistive technologies to know about these updates. And that's one of the things is called Aria Live. So Aria Live is an attribute that you add to an element, and it's basically a signal to assistive technologies that is a live region. That's what it's called. And a live region is basically, a signal that the HTML is going to change. And when it changes, you should announce that change.
Okay. So as an example,
right.
This could be a social feed getting pulled into the site.
Yeah.
This could be some kind of application style where I click on a button and I get an area that refreshes with different information.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that the Aria Live just announces that the content's changed.
Yep.
And then what happens? Does it focus onto the content? Does it allow the
No, and that's a good point. So we have a couple of different techniques to bring attention to elements. And one of the things we do sometimes is focus state management. So on the last episode, we talked about modals and how we want to focus on, let's say, when a modal is open, we focus on that first element, like the close button. And then when they close the modal, we focus back on the button that launched it.
Right.
So with a live region, we're not doing any focus management. It's just going to read aloud, basically, the new text that we've added. And there's a couple of techniques that we can talk about. But
are you about to do some live coding?
No, this is actually pre-written code, and I'm just going to kind of tweak it a little bit for you guys. So let me share my screen here. All right, so one perfect example is an alert. So let's say you're filling out a form and maybe the field had some kind of incorrect formatting within the field, or you missed a required field. You could pop up an alert like that. Let's say this was in a dynamic page. Maybe you're disconnected from the server, and you'd want to let the person know, hey, this page just got disconnected if there was supposed to be like some kind of dynamic feed. So one of the things you can do is I've got this alerts container here. Can you see my code?
I do.
Okay, cool. And so what I have is I've got some code here that I'm going to uncomment here. And what I'm doing is I'm getting that alert container and I'm going to add an alert. And the alert just basically has a message that I'm going to pass in via this add alert function. And I put in 2 set timeouts so that we could see how it looks before the alerts are there. And then after 10 seconds, the first alert is going to appear. And it's just like an example alert. You've been disconnected. And then you've been reconnected. So right now I'm not using Aria Live. And this would be a kind of, I guess, a really simple test. But I can just basically explain the fact that by the fact that we're not using Aria Live, even though this alert has been added to the page, the screen reader is not going to know about it.
You've written this you've written this script. This is really just a test. It's not doing anything other than popping up an alert message with you've been disconnected, and then popping up a message after that that says you've been connected.
Exactly.
Now, the issue here is that for a sighted user, I'm on that page, and we're taking the assumption here that it is some form of an application that has to have connectivity to the server. And at some point that connection was broken. So we're alerting the user, hey, you've lost connection.
Right.
A sighted user, they see that, right? You've been disconnected. I see that, and that's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
And then I guess the timeout is going to happen that you've been reconnected. Great.
Yep.
However, I'm actually in a screen reader, and I'm over on the about hard refresh sidebar there, and that's what it's reading.
Yeah.
So me using a screen reader, I have no idea that just happens. What you're telling me is Aria Live is a way to let the screen reader know this area has updated, alert the user that something has happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. All right, cool.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to turn on voiceover.
Voiceover on Safari. Hard refresh template window. Hard refresh template. Web content has keyboard focus. Reload page. H. In hard refresh navigation. Heading level 1. Multiple lines of text to form a lead, informing new readers quickly and efficiently about what's most interesting in this post's contents. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this web area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
And as we said, totally ignored it. Totally.
Oh, completely ignored it. Okay, so I'm going through this page. I'm using it with the screen reader. I have no idea that a state change has happened on the page because the screen reader has no idea that happened to the page.
So now this is where Aria Live comes in, and we've got a couple of different options. Aria Live equals polite is just going to announce it whenever the screen reader is done speaking whatever it was in the middle of speaking. So if you're in the middle of reading a long paragraph, it's going to wait for that paragraph to be done, and then it's going to say, you've been disconnected. There's another setting that's Aria Live assertive, and that's basically alert it right away because, this is an important alert, and maybe it's maybe it's a weather emergency, or, a disconnect would actually be a good one. Stop what you're in the middle of doing and announce it. So let's try polite, and you'll see what that looks like. And there is no Aria Live rude. I think, I wonder if maybe there used to be an Aria Live rude because I see so many people talk about it, but the spec doesn't have it anymore. So
oh, really?
I don't know where it came from.
That's funny.
I think people just think the opposite of polite. But yeah, so we got polite or assertive. All right, and now I've got that. I'm going to turn my screen reader back on and refresh the page. Yep. And on a Mac again, if you have a Mac, you've already got VoiceOver, so you can just hit Command F5 and you've got your screen reader.
1. Multiple lines of text to form a lead, informing new readers quickly and efficiently about what's most interesting in this post's contents. You have been disconnected. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this web area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And then
right, so it finished reading the multiple lines of text copy, and then just announced it quit. So you know what's interesting too. Now thinking about that, like that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that then leads you to say, like, all right, so we're addressing screen readers, then you have been disconnected, you have been reconnected should probably have some other language in there.
Yeah.
Like alert :
That's a good point. Let's edit that.
What I mean?
and we could do that here. We could actually put it part of this alert like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. Okay. So switch it to the assertive. So now I'm very interested to see what's going to happen here. So it's just going to interrupt it. And then what does it start? It must do it after a word is finished. It would have to.
It'll probably be right in the middle of a sentence. And before it actually was in the middle of a thought, right? It was still describing that paragraph, but in between a break, it started going into the alert, and then it went back into finishing its thought.
Oh, so all right, so that's what polite did. So it didn't actually finish the paragraph.
It finished the entire paragraph, and then read the alert,
and then went back to the flow. Got it. Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's do assertive now.
VoiceOver on Safari. Hard refresh template. In hard with multiple lines of text to form a lead, informing new readers quickly and efficiently about what's most alert. You have been disconnected. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this web area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
It's hard to tell, but I think it kind of cut off that the
I
last
think it just
word.
cut it off. It just stopped.
What's that?
It just stopped it. Yeah.
It almost stopped it, right? It stopped it in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me make that a bigger paragraph.
Voiceover off.
And let's try it again.
Voiceover on in hard refreshed. Link. Link. And heading level. Lorem ipsum dolor sit met. Consecutor dipissing elit. Pros alert. You have been disconnected. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this web area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
Interesting how it cut it
Just
off.
stops it. It cuts it off. Yeah. So polite
Currently
did
muted.
it and then continued to read.
Yeah.
Did it focus? Did it focus you anywhere or no?
It didn't.
Probably
It left
not,
my
right?
focus. Yeah, it left my focus. Where it
Okay,
was-
so basically, Aria Live assertive is essentially this is an update to the page that is so significant that we have to stop you where you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So all right. So in that case, then this would probably be a message that was more like, to your fact, this was a weather web app.
Mhm.
And it was some kind of severe tornado alert, right? And it would that alert would probably let them know that they should go to that section
Right.
in order to read that information. Okay.
Yeah. Or if there was like some kind of like dynamic information, like you were looking at, I don't know, like a feed, a Twitter feed, or like, like a live feed to an event, or, a live blog or something like that, then you would maybe you wouldn't want to read the entire new content, but a status update of like, one new update or two new updates, something like that.
Oh, right. So then the user could always then go, all right, fine, I'll go back to that. Yeah, that's actually, I kind of like this one.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
And specifically the example that you said is good, because if it is, I've got some updates happening over here within a particular social feed, or actually like the project that we're working on right there, if there's an update on projects and documents.
Yeah.
Right. So it could just let the person know, hey, by the way, update over here, and I'll continue reading.
Or another idea is, when they're using the filters, if they're filtering by different products and we're having an update via Ajax, after they submit, you let them know, 5 results, you filtered down and now you have.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to show you the next attribute, but first I want to show you why we need it.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen again.
So Aria Live, super duper helpful.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cool. All right, so now I'm going to jump to a different area. And now and I'm going to comment this code out. And here I've got this spot right here where it says Chuck's favorite color is, and then I've got color.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to update this. Chuck, what's your favorite color?
So red has always been my favorite color.
Okay, so let's say it starts with blue.
Right.
And then I'm going to have some code that updates it. And we'll do red and then maybe green. So you're very indecisive.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. And we're going to do the same thing here. So we've got Aria Live and we're going to use polite here.
Okay.
And what I want you to notice is what gets read after this is updated, right? So let's check it out. So this is basically going to go from Chuck's favorite color is blue at the beginning, then it's going to go to red after 10 seconds, and then green after another 10 seconds.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Let's reduce this. Let's do 5 and then 10.
Okay.
Voiceover on Zoom.us. Zoom share status bar window. System dialog. Link. Subscribe. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control Option Space Red. Green.
So did you notice something?
It just said red and green.
It just said red.
It
And it
didn't
just said
say-
green, right?
Right. So, all right. So what I'm thinking is that you're going to show me that there's an attribute that would read the entire sentence to give that particular live element context.
Exactly. Even though we had the outer wrapper given Aria live equals polite,
It only read what was changed.
it only read the element that had text changed. Exactly.
And is that because it has a span?
Yeah, it basically looks for the element that has a change in it, and because we only changed this HTML content, that's what was updated.
Okay. Okay. Got
So
it.
there's a way to there's another attribute that you can add to Aria Live to say, hey, this is the center point, or you could say this is the lowest level of what you should be reading. So basically, read this whole block, right?
Right. Yep.
And that is Aria Atomic.
Really? Aria Atomic?
It is Aria Atomic, isn't it?
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, but atomic from like the atomic level.
Exactly. So treat this region as a whole is basically what it does.
That's awesome.
Shaq, can we have like explosions and like Power of the Atom kind of comic book effects? Let's try it one more time.
Voiceover on Safari. Hard refresh template window. Hard refresh template web. Chuck's favorite color is red. Period. You are currently on a banner inside of web content. Chuck's favorite color is period green.
That was weird. It said period green.
Yeah, why say period first?
All right, say that again.
Started reading it before the text changed.
Maybe, and I
Because
wonder.
green came after the sentence. Chuck's favorite color is period.
Yeah.
Is it green?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe that was just like a kind of like a bug in the way it read it.
I wonder. You know what? Can you do that span with atomic equals true on the span around the sentence, not as an attribute on the same element?
Sure.
Now let's see what happens with that.
Voiceover on Safari. Hard refresh template window. Hard refresh template web content. Reload page. We're currently on web content. To enter the web area, press Control Option Shift down arrow. Red in hard refresh template web content banner. Green.
No,
Didn't work.
didn't work.
Voiceover off.
So maybe the atomic has to be in association with the.
Yeah, it might
The
have to
Aria
go
Live?
directly on the same attribute as Aria Live.
Okay.
So
All
there you
right.
go. All right. Cool.
I like these. These are cool.
Yeah.
These are really cool.
Yeah.
This, because what's interesting is that as we start moving more type of applications to web-based builds, and that all of a sudden you have the inherentness of accessibility with a web page, and you have an application running in that web page. Now all of a sudden, and applications by their nature have all sorts of different states at various times. You start to enable, differently abled users being able to actually access these applications.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Cool.
Nice work.
Thank you.
I like it.
So there's a couple other things I just want to talk about that are kind of related, and they have limited support, so it's a little harder to test.
So when you say limited support, you mean across browsers?
Across different browsers and screen reader
and different screen readers.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, and we've talked about this before, but I don't know. Did you live through the browser wars? I know I did. But all these different browsers that did their own thing. But on top of that, now you've got a fairly consistent kind of feature set across browsers at this point, right? With IE on. But you take those browsers and then you take NVDA, and you take JAWS, and you take VoiceOver, and you take TalkBack, and then you marry them with all the different mobile and desktop browsers, and all of a sudden you've got exponential combinations of browser and screen readers. So in terms of support, like say this is only going to work on JAWS and Chrome.
Right.
And only Chrome version 35 and above, right?
But again, that's why it's good to test, right? You're testing with these real devices, but B, have an accessibility statement that says this is what we tested with. This is what we, it's kind of like the old works best with Netscape kind of badge that you would get, right?
Right. Go ahead and download Netscape Navigator version 2.
Okay, so the two things that I just wanted to quickly talk about is first one is another attribute that has super limited support, but it's Aria relevant spelling.
That's not how you spell relevant. Is there an Aria spelling attribute?
Aria relevant.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So Aria relevant is just another way of refining what kind of changes Aria Live is going to read aloud. So your options are additions, which are like new elements being added, right? So you could have additions like that.
Yeah.
And you can actually like concatenate.
You can string them together.
Yeah. So another option is text. And by the way, this is the default. If you don't use Aria relevant, it just assumes it's going to be additions, and text is text changes.
Okay.
Right. And then there's another option that's normally excluded, but there's removals. And removals basically means that if we were to remove the contents of this Aria Live area, it would say blah, blah, blah was removed.
Oh.
That's another interesting thing. But yeah, like I said, by default, it's this. And again, support on this is super, super limited, but it's something to look out for.
Well, again, this is one of those things where you get into filtering and sorting of a list.
Yeah.
Right. If it's important to say that something was specifically removed from a list, then we can actually call that out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then the other thing to talk about is, and this one has a bit more support, but it was still kind of spotty for me, and that's the role. So we could get rid of all of this stuff and use some roles. And there's two roles that kind of already bundle in Aria Atomic and Aria Live. So the role of status already describes something as being like a status alert, right?
Yeah.
And it automatically should add Aria Live is polite and Aria Atomic is true.
So just talk about roles for a second in case people don't understand what they are. I don't think we talked about roles before.
We haven't. That might be actually a good conversation for another
like another podcast. All right. Okay, fine.
But
so just give them a little sousson.
Yeah, sure. So the role attribute is defined within the same Aria spec, and it comes along with all the different Aria attributes. And role is basically a way of saying this element is now this kind of element. So you've got things like role button or something like that, right? So you could say this link or this div, treat it as if it was a button element, and and identify it, announce it as if it's a button element. And then there's roles that there are no elements for. So let's say like role alert, there's no really equivalent element like just called alert. So there's the standard element list of elements that you can assign via role, and then beyond that, there's new additional ones.
All right. So it really sounds like role is well. I'm not a big fan of using role. I'm not a big fan of like if you're going to have a button, just use the button element.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
However, using role as a way to bundle a whole bunch of functionality like an alert or a status update, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Right. Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right.
So like another one is like main. I see role main a lot. So you could have either an element that's just called main, or you could have a div and then put role main, and it'll be announced the same way.
Is this to placate all the React developers who just want to make divs everything?
I think before I think before HTML5 was widely adopted, those elements would just, maybe they would explode, on IE11 or IE8, I should say, going back.
Yeah.
But so they were roles, and then those elements were added.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense, right? Okay.
Okay.
And all right. So all right. So if you do role status,
yep.
So you're telling me that would function exactly as if you had Aria live and a what was the other one?
And Aria atomic equals.
And Aria atomic. All right. Yeah. So are you going to show that? I'm going to see that.
Try it. Yeah. There's a good chance this one would actually work. So let's try it. There's role status. And by the way, there's
a good chance it'll work.
So I think this doesn't work with VoiceOver and Chrome, but I think it works VoiceOver and Safari. So again, different combinations. And we have two options. There's role status, which is the equivalent to the polite, and then there's role alert,
which is equivalent to assertive.
Yep. So let's try this one.
Let's see what happens.
VoiceOver on Safari. Hard refresh template window. Hard refresh template web content. Hard.
You look nervous, Nick.
We'll see.
Chuck's favorite color is red. Period.
Worked.
You are currently on banner inside of web content.
Yeah, it stopped.
Favorite color is period green.
It did that period green again thing. Very interesting.
Yeah, but okay. So all right. So hold on. So what was interesting about that is it stopped reading, it read the change, and then the second change happened, and it went and read the second change.
Yeah. So it's exactly what we would expect.
Right.
And again, I think on Chrome, this doesn't work. So I've actually seen Role Alert even bundled with Aria Live sometimes.
Oh, right. Just like basically as a fallback to make sure that.
Exactly.
So that's a browser feature reason why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a matter of whatever's in the roadmap for the browser to kind of add to support. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So I guess the other little thing is, when you're using Aria Live,
this is like Christmas morning, by the way, Nick. There's always there's another thing I'm pulling out of the stocking.
But I guess the last thing is leave the text there, right? So I think I've seen people say that if you remove the text while Aria Live is happening and it's trying to read it, it'll stop reading it, right? So if you've got like an alert that automatically fades out and it's shown for a second and then fades out. Just leave it up. Maybe give it a close button or something. Let them close it themselves, because if you've got it set to Aria Polite, they might be reading in the middle of reading this long paragraph and then read that alert. But if the alert's no longer there, it'll never get read. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. That makes sense.
All right. Yeah. And that was it.
All right.
Aria Live. And it's on it. The coolest Aria.
I really like. I if we would have done this, I think we might have called the blog Atomic. But we're stuck with hard refresh now because we're out. No, this was cool. This was super, super cool. I liked it.
All right, cool.
So what I will say is, if you got any questions on Aria Live or Aria Atomic, go ahead and pop them in those comments. Give us your feedback. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell notification to get alerted whenever we post something new. This is episode 4, and we're going to keep on going and educating you guys on doing good, accessible code, because we're tired of code not being accessible. Period.
Cheers, Chuck. Thanks.
Cheers.